Hey, what's happening, my friends? Welcome back to Creatures of the Edge, episode 3 of the song Snake Hands. And today is the day I unveil to you my new drum set. Let me switch over camera views here real quick. There we go. Get my chair out of the way, and there she is. So that is the Mapex Armory. It is the Ocean Sunset color pattern, but most importantly, it's Miami Dolphins colors, and I love it. I found this kit back in like January or so and just fell in love with it. Bookmarked it on my browser, checked it all the time. I think after Rumination, I started to think, okay, how can I talk about getting a new kit with my wife without making her furious with me? Kind of brought it up around Stoneburner time, I think, song 3. And then we came to an agreement. She said, Justin, you go ahead and publish 5 songs and we can talk about you getting a new drum set. Well, this drum set went on sale. So I called my mom, who lives out of state, and I said, I need you to secretly help me buy this drum set so that my wife doesn't have to see a large credit card charge or worry about that for this month's bills. So she agreed, and I've been just paying her off, and they were sitting boxed up in my room for, the past 3 months probably. I was not willing to sell the Ludwig for anything less than the value I thought it was worth. I put a heck of a lot of upgrades into that thing, and it was like a year old and played just to make these songs, and that was it. Hold on, got a screaming kid. Pause the video. All right, and I'm back. The drum set sat in my room for 3 months, boxed up, until I felt I could get a fair value for the Ludwig. That finally happened a few weeks ago. I met a cool kid. His mom hit me up, and him and his dad came over. He lives nearby. He's 16 and had been wanting to learn to play drums and was really into the Ludwig kit. So I set him up with that, and it was really neat. His dad texted me like 5 hours later. He had never played drums before. He was drumming along to a Metallica song in their garage after they got home and got it all set up. So, and just really grateful for the Ludwig, man. It was an awesome choice to buy that for my daughter and I for her birthday just, about 14 months ago now is when we got that and when I started the channel. So it's kind of like a 1-year anniversary for me now. This kit is awesome. It's got 4 toms compared to just 2. So and everything's just, it's crazy how big it is. Just the kick drum is giant and just booming. What I wanted to do today was kind of start getting things dialed in. I've got it all tuned up and everything. Did the maximum thumpification on this one, just like we did for the Ludwig. What I want to do now is play some kicks, get them into the computer. I've got the Sennheiser 602 kick drum mic here on the front, and then just the SM57 on the back. So I am going to do dual kick drum. I want to be able to control the attack and everything, and I expect this drum sound to be a little more dynamic, and I want to maximize that. So let's go ahead and get in here. I'm going to go back to my regular view, and let's get in here, and we will set the tracks up. I'll get over there and play some kicks, and we'll start kind of piecing together a channel strip for this one. So, all right, there's a refresh screen. Gonna come up here. I got kick beat and kick reso pertaining to each head. I guess it should be bat, but I don't know why I put beat. I think I put beater. Let's go here into mix and check my inputs. So I have the E602 is my yellow mic. That is channel 2. Oh, okay. So look, I have the inserts all from the old one. I was like, what is all that hissing? That was crazy. That's what it took to get the Ludwig sounding proper. So we'll see if we can do things a little more efficiently for the new Mapex kick. So for the SM57, my mic line is blue. So that's input 1. I'm going to run around the back here and we will check some levels. Major clip on number 1 there. Okay, that second one there clipped input 2. So let me back that down just a little bit. I'm on the Focusrite 18i20, I think it's called. And I have these mic pre's set at about 50% right now. It looks like the SM57 is just a tad lower than that. That's good level on input 2 for the 602, but I need to boost the 57 back up a little bit towards 50%. It's crazy how touchy it can be, because I barely am moving this, and that brought it up from like -18 to -6 all the way to a clip. And I barely even turned it one full dot. So I'm back at like 4.5. Oh, and one thing I forgot to say was when after selling the Ludwig, because I bought the shell pack, I couldn't have set it up anyways. So that was another thing is I told my wife, I was like, I won't even be able to play the new drum set until I sell the Ludwig because I need to buy new hardware for this kit. So I ended up getting the Yamaha hardware pack. It was like $300 at Guitar Center. Such good stuff. Like the Mapex hardware for this was like $600. And I didn't even know what to expect because the drum hardware I had for the Ludwig was fine. And it was cheap, single braced, really cheap stuff. And I was like, even if what I buy is the equivalent to that, it'll work. The biggest thing, the selling point on this was the toms are mounted to the cymbal stands. So that's really awesome. The 2 rack toms, they're completely free of the kick drum, which allows everything to resonate properly. And so my biggest concern was these 2 cymbal stands here to make sure that they could hold up those toms. And when I got this stuff home, I was like, this is like unreal upgrade compared to what I was using. And I can't even imagine what a $600 set of hardware would be like. So really happy with my choice to just make an even trade on the Ludwig. I sold the Ludwig and went straight over to Guitar Center and handed in the money. Anyways, back to what we were doing. Let's get some kick drums going in here. Don't need that. I do need that. Armory 2 kick drum tracks. Hopefully I don't pick up the kids screaming downstairs. Fortunately, it's not screaming crying this time. My daughter whacked her head pretty good on the concrete. She fell off her little swing. I had to just double check that she knew her age and she knew who the Dolphins quarterback was, because anytime they hit their head backwards, I have a flashback to Tua laying on the Bengals field and me calling my wife nearly in tears that I thought he was going to die. I'm going to try to play along to the track a little bit. I don't know how this is going to work sound-wise, but we're going to give it a go and see what happens. And then hopefully, if it sucks, we can work it out better, because I want to do this for each drum. We'll do it for the snare. We'll do it for the toms as well. Let's see if we can get some kick drum into this song. And it's going to sound dreadful because I don't play drums very often. I just like to work with live drums, and that's why I have a drum kit. I understand drums, and I can hear my favorite drummers in my head. And I watch a lot of drum videos, and I have a good idea of, if I could play drums, how the type of drummer I would be. But I just don't get to practice that much. I'm going to do a lot of editing, so just bear with me. If I miss some kick drum parts, I'm going to move them all around and chop it all up anyway. It's kind of like working with samples, but my brain makes sense of mixing better when I start with an instrument. It goes into a mic, it comes into an interface, it comes into the computer. Everything just, it's like when I skip the step, and when I used to just work with samples, that's why you never heard my music until I got a real drum kit. It wasn't working for me. I didn't know how to make decisions on EQing or compressing a wave file kick drum from a folder that had 1,000 different weird sounding kick drums in it. I couldn't make sense of that. So I think I'll start it out here, and then it'll loop back, and then I'll be able to start on a fresh take. And then I'm going to mute the Blue Yeti starting now, so you won't hear me anymore. You probably wish I did that earlier. All right, man, look at how solid that looks. That's awesome. Oh, that's deep. I love it. Let me hear it on my monitors, actually. Oh, the resonance in the low end is such a big difference. That is so awesome. I will chop all this up, and then we're going to work on the channel strip. All right, let's go ahead and get a bit of editing done on this kick drum we recorded. Probably time lapse a good bit of this. A little bit of a control freak, and I like to kind of manually edit. Whenever I rely too much on the software, it's probably user error, but maybe it's quirky stuff with Studio One. I don't know. Sometimes when I rely on the software too much, I'm kind of dissatisfied with the results, quantization, strip silence. I want to make sure that the right attack stays with the right thump. And so what I'll do first is I'll select, I've got my kick drums in a folder here. It's not grouped, it's a pack folder is what I did here. And if I start here and select both the kick drums at once, right click, come down to split at bend markers. That's basically the equivalent of detect transients. There is a detect transient function, but doesn't work for me. I don't know, it doesn't do anything. So this is what I've been using for years now, is split at bend marker. And then when I'm done with that, I like to do strip silence to give myself some room to work and start to move these samples around. And then the nice thing is if you just grab the kick drum here at the top, the pack folder, it'll select both at the same time, so you never have to worry about accidentally moving one and then forgetting to move the other and then getting them relined up. So I'll just be working with this. The other thing I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to bring Satala above this just for viewing, because I'm going to be grabbing here. So I'm going to open up this MIDI track and I want to select everything but the kicks. I'm going to mute them so that I can see on here where my kick drums are standing out. And then from there, I just do drag and drop. Super easy. It takes a little longer, but I'm not on the clock here. Like a professional engineer might be working hourly and can't be doing this kind of stuff, but this is the way I like to do it. In fact, one other thing that I didn't do here, and I'll do it real quick, is sometimes I like to go through and I'll grab these and I'll shorten up these kicks even more. I always like to drag out as necessary. I like to minimize, like this one. What's going on with this one? Why did that sustain so long is basically my question. This one here sustained a really long time. See how that I grabbed the kick beat, but I didn't do the same to here. So what I need to do is undo, click my pack folder, and then drag this. I just like things to be short so that I can maneuver things around without worrying about fades yet. That's my method. It doesn't have to be yours. I'm sure there's a faster, better way. This is just the way I do it because it feeds my need for control over stuff, and like it's a mental checklist that's happening, so I don't have to go back and check all this stuff later. So I will time lapse the rest of this and get this edited, and then we'll work on the channel strip and get this kick drum dialed in. So bear with me for a little bit here. Real quick, perfect example of what I mean here, why I like things short at first. So these kick drums are going to overlap, and I already have a little clip here. Something got cut off. Now when I drag this over, it's going to insert itself, but now I have this little thing, and I don't know where this kick drum is. This part of this one, or is this part of this one? I know what it is right now, but later in the process, if I was to see this, I'd be like, what the heck is happening there? So that's why I like my initial, the track display to be really kind of tight, so that I don't have to worry about instances like that. So, okay, that gets us through verse 1 at least. So we'll ignore the rest of this for now. Something happened here where I was really dragging from a ways away to fill those in. So I'm a little mindful of potentially having two downbeat kick drums hitting in a row, especially somewhere like right here. I'm sure generally there's when you do a quick double kick, one of them is the harder one. And right now they're pretty equal. I try to keep those things in mind, but I also mix with kind of an EDM kick drum mindset. And so the kick is hammering every time, If it's something later on where I start to pay attention and I'm going, man, that kick drum it doesn't sound natural. Basically, it doesn't sound like someone's foot going, boom, like where one is lower than the other. It's something I can fix later, and I'm not going to worry about too much now, because either way, the goal here is to get a kick drum sound dialed in. So let me do one more thing, just nitpicky. I'm going to go through and just even these up to make sure I'm getting the sustain I want for now. And that way, when I want to play around with the sustain later, I can grab here and do the same thing and let my kick drums ring out as much as I want. Basically what I'll do is get them all down to quarter notes, and then I can move them. So let me do that real quick, and then we'll get to mixing. Now on this one, I have to work individually because the strip silence applied differently. You see the attack is registering different in the decibel calculation. So that's why you see me attacking these individually instead of together. And I'm sure there's a function for this. If there's not, I wish there was. If there is and I'm not doing it and you're just laughing at me right now, let me know in the comments. I have a real hard time like reading instructions. My ADHD is so bad. I get so caught on what my goal is that I forget that sometimes you have to actually take some time to freaking learn something. So let me know in the comments if I'm doing something stupid or wasting my time. So I've just found over the years that in the grand scheme of things, it's not that much time wasted personally. Uh-oh. See, I lost this down here. I don't know what happened there. So we'll just get rid of that. We'll just work on this first verse with this kick drum. Apply an even fade out. We'll just do like 10 milliseconds and like 4 on the front here. And then I'll do X for crossfade for these ones that are touching. We are going to focus on the thump. So the resonant head of the kick drum first. I wonder if I mixed those up. Input 2 was yellow. I did. So I have these labeled wrong. So input 2 is actually my resonant head. That's just a labeling error. Okay, so we're going to mute the attack for now. We're going to work on this thump. I was really impressed the other day when we recorded it. Just how much more robust of a kick drum sound it is than the little 16-inch Ludwig Pocket Kit, which gave us great results. Not trashing that kit. We got 4 songs done with that bad boy. But this is a double ply. I think it's 100% birch kick drum, you know, with a lacquered finish and everything. So this is a real drum set behind me now. Let's solo this up and get into our mix station here. Look how much we clipped when we were setting those levels, 111. That's crazy. All right. These are some of the plugins I've used in the past. There's a couple favorites in here. Mag EQ4. I'll definitely find a way to use this. It is just a really responsive EQ plugin that I use late in the chain. When I need to bring a specific bandwidth back, I like to use that. Been really impressed with that over the last couple mixes. I love our compressor. It's easy, it's simple. I feel like I know what's happening. It's not overcomplicated, and it really affects the sound. And then I've always been a big fan of making my first plugin generally use the SSL console, and then I think we'll try it with our channel and see what kind of results we get. We'll do a little compare and contrast session here. So let's start with the SSL. So that's from Brainworks, which is Plugin Alliance SSL 4000E channel. Let me bring this up here so you can see what I'm doing. And we'll hit play. Let me get some headphones on, but I don't mix well with these headphones for some reason. So we'll have to compare to, sometimes I just hear the frequencies a little bit different compared to my monitor. So I'm gonna do the best I can, and then I'll double check it before I send us on our way thinking that I did something good, because I have messed things up in the past. But I don't want you to hear my monitors, you know, beeping into this to my podcasting microphone here. So, all right, so the first thing we're gonna do is, okay, let's add some compression. I'm gonna start just around like 4. Just set a release time here that kind of, I like to watch the meter and just see if it's kind of looks like it's falling in time with the music. And I go for about 6 dB. I like to use more compressors with less of each instance, has been the way I've been doing things, because I get really scared about overcompression. Just something that was like drilled into me early on when I was in school for this. Let's see what fast attack does. It makes it, there's a little bit something happening where it's like crunching on the end. So I'm gonna keep off the fast attack for now. And then let's put a little expander on this and see. All right, we'll try that. So for the low end, I'm going to just avoid right now. I'm going to try to sort out kind of the middle frequency. So I'm going to drop the Q down here. I'll put a big old fat boost and find some ugly stuff. I sweep in the frequency spectrum. I don't want to do too narrow though, because sometimes it just makes it like sound really resonant. Want to take some stuff out of around this low mids, kind of the 200 to 500 range, because that's where my guitars are going to sit. See what happens if we cut that. Feels like it cleaned it up a little bit. Let me hear it on my monitors just to make sure we're not doing anything crazy. I would say it's an improvement. I don't know that I love it, but let's turn that one off and let's try just another plugin and see if we can do something similar or get better results or just something to compare to. What I also might do is go in here and play around with some of the bass drum settings and see what other engineers have done. I don't personally use presets really ever. The only time I'll start with them occasionally is like on my my keys patches on the organ and the electric piano. I'm going to end up messing with the effects on them anyways and making them mine. But it kind of, if you cycle through some of the patches, it can kind of help you find the vibe. But for this stuff, I just kind of assume that the room I'm in and the mics I'm using and the drum set and the this and the that renders everything that they're doing not really applicable other than helping me see what the possibilities are. So sometimes I like to put a bass drum on and see what, for a patch that made it into Plugin Alliance's library of, you should consider these, how much compression were they using? How much this, how much that? So I think I remember kick drum compressors usually hitting between 5 and 8. So I might need to boost the compression. These things are fluid. And I'm trying to be really subtle and not heavy-handed because I don't want to come off as you know, seeming too certain of something and then make myself look like a fool. Let's try our channel. I don't love the controls as much as I like the individual waves, but we'll just play around with this and see. I feel tempted to throw in a setting on here, but I don't want to skew the way I'm thinking of things. So let's do about 4 again, just like we did on the SSL, just to start. We'll add more compression for sure. I'm just kind of trying to figure out the way this gate works. It looks like this is setting the threshold that it starts to fall. Need a longer release. And then the floor just drops it all the way down. Okay. I find myself not boosting very often. I'm kind of more of a cutter. Because like I got this huge spike here. I don't need to make it any bigger. I'm just trying to pull it out, you know. I'm trying to basically like extrapolate it from the rest of what's there sonically. So my bass is going to be sitting, you know, kind of 125, 200, and then my guitars are kind of sitting in here. And I'll use some sidechain compression to get that kick to pull through still. But I want those instruments to also be really clear. It's a really extreme EQ right there, so I'm hesitant to say that I like that. But it's definitely less knocky and woody and boxy than... That sounds a little better, so let's compare and contrast the two. I think I like the SSL a little better. That's just step one, man. There's so much more we could do to this kick drum, but let's hear kind of how that sounds in the song. So what I'm gonna do is mute Satala now. So I had to drop the gain level down initially in there, like the fader level. And so I haven't made up for the compression really. And I generally shoot for my kick to be between like 10 and 8 dB is kind of like my starting point. I remember seeing the 8 dB guideline was Monster Cat's guideline for if you're going to submit a demo. So that's kind of been a marker that I've been using for years. And I'm just going to put L2 on there just to help boost the level for now without having to. I'm just really weird about my faders. I don't like to push them above 0. I got some weird things that I do. I don't know if it's even that weird. It's just, so we're going to go into waves. We'll grab L2 mono. To set this around 8. Let's come over to our bass. We'll put a little compressor on this bass, a little side chain compressor to make some room for this kick to stand out initially. So I like to just use PreSonus's compressor for this. It seems the most fluid with getting the side chain in there. So we're going to do a send for the kick thump. And we'll see how this works. All right, well, I don't hear the kick very much, but we are only dealing with the thump primarily. So let's see if we can get a little more out of it by messing with this attack real quick, or I got to go pick up my kids. All right, sorry about that, everyone. I just kind of mixing up between the monitors and the headphones and the Yeti muting and this and that. So I opened up our channel, and I feel like I want to kind of isolate the high frequencies first, and then we'll figure out if we need to add more to the low. So I'm just going to kind of do a big old scoop like that right there. We're going to boost that, and I definitely I don't like to put this floor too low. I've noticed on our channel because it makes it hard to read the meter with the compressor going as well. So I'm gonna keep the floor around like 24. Kind of there's like a rattle going on, which is kind of weird. Definitely have isolated the attack there. Keep in mind that this is the first time that I'm really messing with a double mic'd kick drum since I went to music school in 2008. So that was the last time I was in a studio and mic'd up a drum kit until now. So bear with me while I kind of figure this all out again. Let's see how those sound together. I don't know that they're going to sound good at all. It's not that bad. See if it cuts through the mix a little more now. That'll be the question. That's cutting through. Let me mute my mic. I'm going to take my headphones off and put my monitors on and see how I like it on there. Okay, that is not too bad. Let's kind of see what we can do on the bus channel. There's a few different tools that I feel compelled to just try out. We can put on that. One of the things I like to do is make sure my kick is really narrow. So I'm going to mono this track. Actually, that's all I need to do is just put it in mono. And then there's probably, I could use this center stereo, kind of take some information away from the sides. For compressor, let's play around with the mag EQ. I'm confident in how that'll help us. So see, what I like to do is I like to boost and go, do I want more of that? If the answer is no, then I cut. Okay, let's boost 2.5. It's okay, that was some nice attack there. Let's check 160. It's not a bad tone, but it's where my bass needs to be. I'm gonna take a tiny bit out. That I want more of. And then you can use the air band here on the mag to try to bring back in some life to the top end. So let's see if anything sounds good. I'm not going to put too much at, we already did a boost at 2.5, so I'm not going to do that. I'll probably just go up to 10. I'm going to leave the sub off for now. I'm going to back this off to 2, just to be subtle. Okay, there's that. Let's get a little bit more like compression on both of these coming in together. Now this is not a compressor I know very well. I just started using it on my last track. So kind of bear with me as I figure out what the possibilities are and how this thing works. Moved it up above mag EQ there to see if it affects, because I had to push the threshold all the way up to get any gain reduction. So, and I'd like to not have to mess with the input gain too much, but I might have to. Okay, and then the last thing we can do, that's okay. I mean, on my monitors there, I'm not really hearing too much happening with that. So no reason to keep them on there. Let's try, just try the waves compressor again and just try to get an idea of what we need here. So lots of tools still that I can kind of use to, the last thing I'm going to do is just put my L2 back on. Just to kind of keep my reminder of where I like my kick drum to sit volume wise. I'm gonna bring the threshold down until I just start kissing it, and then I'm gonna back it off a tad, because I'm not really trying to boost much. I'm trying to fill out what's there, but I really don't want it to be hitting the limiter too much right now. I'm not going for that effect. This is just kind of it's like a safety mechanism, so that when I'm mixing, I kind of remember where my kick drum is kind of needs to sit volume wise, and I work everything around that. All right, well, it's not a terrible sounding kick. Knowing me, it'll probably change a ton, but for now, I felt like I kind of demonstrated the workflow for you and got us on the right track at least. So I think we'll stop there for now. Hopefully gave you some ideas of what to do or what not to do. We got to do this kind of same thing for the snare and the toms. So we'll be back to do those soon. Yeah, we'll keep this song going and we'll have some awesome new drums by the end. That much I can guarantee you. And when we get there, we'll kind of do a recap and figure out what we did differently by the end of mixing compared to what we did now. This is just the start. I don't commit too much this early to any one particular plugin chain because I don't expect myself to have figured out the optimal plugin chain for any one channel strip this early in my career doing this. So I always like to start from scratch, kind of re-cement the way I'm thinking about things and the way I'm doing things, and let myself continue to try to find the way rather than just going, because I know the kick drum on Rumination sounded great. I love it. Every time I hear it, I'm like, that was the kick drum, man. It was the best one out of all 4 songs for some reason, and I actually copied it onto Light and Variable, and I'm sure Stoneburner was the basis for that too. So I have a goal in mind. How I get there is I'm always willing to change that. So that's going to do it for today. I got a lot of editing to make this video palatable, but hopefully we'll get there. And yeah, we'll see you back soon to probably work on the snare drum next. So thanks so much for hanging out with me. Like and subscribe if you want to continue to follow along. And we'll be back to do the snare pretty quick here. Thanks so much. Peace out, everyone.